Hi everyone. There are a lot of videos out there that explain what data-oriented design is, but there don't seem to be many videos, if any, that actually show the performance gains that you can get from using data-oriented design, specifically the data locality aspect of data-oriented design, which is that the data that we're using needs to be close to each other in code. So let's take a look at an example that shows exactly how data locality with data-oriented design can improve performance by quite a bit, almost 10 times. So in this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna simply move a bunch of enemies on the screen. And to move an enemy, we need a position, we need a direction, and we need the velocity. And to move them, all we do is we say m position plus equals m direction times m velocity. Now, when in our enemy class, what we're going to do is, we'll have these variables, right, that we need. Position, direction, velocity. But in a real game, we'll have other variables. For example, we'll have hit points. We'll have some dodge ability. We'll have some amount of shield that you have. Who knows, like a million different variables that are going to join there. And the chance that our position, direction, velocity will be close to each other is very limited because, tomorrow we'll want to use the hit points with position. And the shield needs to know what direction you're facing. So it's very hard to organize your data to be really close by. But let's just look to see what kind of an advantage you actually get. And if you haven't watched any of the many videos about why data locality and data-oriented design is so fast, the reason is the L1 cache in your CPU, just your CPU cache. Some devices have multiple levels of cache. This MacBook Pro that I am recording this video on has 3 levels of cache. My Android device that I will run this test on as well only has 1 level of cache. But the important thing to know is that the L1 cache is about 50 times faster, 50 to 150 times faster than than retrieving data from main memory. And to make sure that the data we need is in the L1 cache, CPUs have this thing called the CPU cache prediction. And the way it works is that when you ask for a variable, for example, m position, it simply grabs all the variables that are right after it into the L1 cache because it assumes that you're going to need them next. If you have variables in the middle here, then it's going to grab other variables you don't need, like the hit points, the dodge, and the shield, into your cache, even though all we need is the position, direction, velocity. And if we're moving a bunch of enemies, we ideally want, when we pick our first enemy's M position, we want the cache line that it grabs, this chunk of data, which on my MacBook Pro it's 128 bytes, on my Android device it's 32 bytes. The average, most devices, it's around 64 bytes. That data, I wanted to include the next enemy. So if I'm moving a bunch of enemies, like 1,000 enemies, I want the cache line to include a bunch of the enemy's data. So I don't have to go to main memory. And when data is not in the cache, we call it a cache miss. And when it's in the cache, we call it a cache hit. And cache hits are 50 times faster than cache misses. So we want to maximize the amount of cache hits we have and minimize the amount of cache misses we have. So for this example, what we'll do is, because we don't want to make up all these variables, we'll just use padding. So over here we have vector 4 is 16 bytes. We have 4 of them. That's 64 bytes of padding. And what we'll do here is we'll have, we'll just call these, just call them padding. We'll have padding 1, padding 2, and padding 3 between each of them. So when we are trying to run on this enemy OOP class, when we call move every time, our cache lines will include all this padding data. And so our L1 cache will be full of all this padding data instead of the M position, M direction, and velocity, the variables we need from all the enemies. To see how data locality actually helps, we'll have another class called enemy OOP data locality, which will have these variables posted together. This is what data locality is. Some of you may be thinking, why do I even need this padding? I'm just going to create an object, let's say call it enemy move, and have it have only the data we need without all this padding. And that's great until the game designer says, hey, we want to add hit points and dodge and shield and I don't know what. Different velocities depending on things that affect you and timers and who knows what. And any one of them will have to use any one of these variables, and then your enemy move class quickly becomes the same as enemy OOP as you add more and more data to it, because they're all using these things. Or you duplicate your data, and then copying data is very slow as well, so you get hit on that. And the best thing to do is called data-oriented design, which in this case what we do is we create an enemy data class to hold our arrays. So we have an array for all the enemy positions. We have an array for all the enemy directions. And we have an array for all the enemy velocities. And we could have an array for the padding too, but it really doesn't matter, because when we are running on these variables, we're going to be calling like to move an enemy, we'll be calling position 0 plus equals direction 0 times velocity 0. And each cache line will include the data from the next variables in the array. So if we think about what our array in memory for position is, it is position 0, position 1. All these are sitting in contiguous memory. So when we call for position 0, our cache line includes position 1, position 2, etc., and puts them in the L1 cache. And then it does the same thing for direction. It puts all the directions in the L1 cache, and then it puts all the velocities in the L1 cache, as much as it can fit into our cache line, whether it's 32 bytes, 64 bytes, 128 bytes, depending on the device. So to actually run this test, we'll make a pool. So making a pool of the enemy OOP objects, we'll have a pool of the enemy OOP data locality objects, we'll have a pool of the enemy move, and we'll have our enemy data, which is already these arrays. And we'll run a bunch of iterations on them. The reason we're running, so what we'll do is we'll run, first of all, here we allocate the arrays. We allocate them, set them to some default values, but to actually run our test, we'll iterate multiple times, some amount of times, 10,000, 1,000, whatever. And every time we do an iteration, we will run on the pool length, and we will call move to actually move all of our enemy OOP objects, all of our enemy data locality objects, all of our enemy move objects, and we'll move our arrays of enemies, which is what data-oriented design is. This is like the ultimate data locality. By the way, the reason we're iterating over this multiple times is because Unity can be a little finicky and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and it can happen that the first thing you run in your in a function actually ends up being slower than what you run later on. So we're going to do this a bunch of times to defeat that, so it'll average out. And the most important thing is, whenever you do a test in Unity, it is really important to actually run it on your target device, because you might get different results. So what we'll do is, if we go back, we can now actually compile this and run this on our device, and we'll see what results we get. So in this case, I'm cutting off a little bit my run here, but that's okay. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're running on a MacBook Pro M3. It has a 128-byte cache line. And we used only 64 bytes of padding. So our results are a little bit off. Our data locality was actually slower. Let's run one more time. Still slower, which is just one of the odd things that can happen sometimes in Unity. But our optimized OOP was 2.7 times faster, and our arrays were 3.5 times faster. So we can actually simulate 3.5 times more enemies than using arrays, which is the ultimate data locality, compared to our OOP example. And in fact, if we go back to our code and we add more padding, so now we have 128 byte of padding, which is more in line, which is actually the cache line size of our this MacBook Pro M3. And now we try to run it. So now with 128 bytes padding, if we run it, we will see that the OOP data locality was 1.8 times faster, almost 2 times faster than OOP. Our optimized OOP, just using the enemy move with no other variables, which again is not realistic, was 8.7 times faster. And using arrays, which is what data-oriented design is all about, was 11.47 times faster. That means we can simulate 11 times more enemies, or more, just do more calculations in your game. It'll also ensure that it runs really well on low-end devices like the Steam Deck, or on really old crappy Android devices. That's it. Hopefully you now see the value of both data locality and data-oriented design. If you have an OOP game, you can already look at what calculations you're doing the most and try to move those variables together, or even move them into a separate class, and that'll give you a huge boost in performance. Or the best thing is to place everything in arrays, because that is the fastest, most high performance that you can get. I have a book, Data-Oriented Design for Games, which talks all about this, all about data locality, data-oriented design, the L1 cache, why we have a class here instead of a struct, why vector3 and vector4 are structs, why we made padding a struct, because in structs all of this is placed in one contiguous block of memory. A lot of stuff you can learn, including about how actually placing all your data in arrays like this can even reduce code complexity and make your code cleaner and easier to read. So check out the book. It's Data-Oriented Design for Games, published by Manning. You can actually look at the first chapter for free online, just by clicking the look inside. And all the 5 chapters out. It's out in early access, so it's about 1 chapter a month, including those appendices that are cover exactly what we talked about right here, about this example, and how data locality can make things run up to 10 times faster. The link to the book is in the description.